Big news is coming out of Raiders camp, and it's all about Christian Wilkins, the cornerstone of this defensive line. There was some early concern after whispers of a potential injury, but now credible reports are painting a much clearer and far more encouraging picture. According to recent analysis by top sports medical experts, Wilkins is on track for a full recovery, possibly as early as August or September. That's huge. This isn't just blind optimism. These updates are based on expert breakdowns of the injury, and the best case and worst case scenarios both look surprisingly solid. Even the worst case comes with very low risk of re-injury, and that's key when you're relying on a player as dominant as Wilkins to anchor your front line. Why does this matter? Because when Wilkins is healthy and in rhythm, he disrupts everything. He wrecks pockets, clogs running lanes, and forces quarterbacks into mistakes. There's a reason Vegas made him a priority. He's not just another defensive tackle, he's a game changer. The good news? Early indicators suggest he'll be ready to go when it counts most. And with the Raiders already experimenting with an aggressive front seven look in minicamp, having a healthy Wilkins ready for the start of the season could set the tone for everything that follows. This defense, which many had questions about, might be a lot more dangerous than people realize. Let's be real. Injuries in the NFL can change careers overnight. One bad break, and a player may never be the same again. We've seen it happen more times than we can count. But here's the good news for Raider Nation. Christian Wilkins isn't one of those cases. According to top-level sports medical evaluations, the injury Wilkins is recovering from, while serious, isn't the type that ends careers. It's called a Jones fracture, and while it can sideline a player, the rate of full recovery is incredibly high. In fact, most athletes bounce back with little to no long-term impact, and the chance of re-injury is minimal. Compare that to other situations we've seen. Remember when Derek Carr battled those shoulder issues late in his Raiders days and again with the Saints? It became an uphill battle. Eventually, that lingering injury pushed him out of the game. It's a reminder that not all injuries are created equal, and not all players return the same. But that's not the case here. All signs point to Wilkins being ready by training camp, and internally, the Raiders appear optimistic. Of course, there's always a small chance things take longer. In rare cases, revision surgery is needed. But we would likely already be hearing about that if it were even on the table. Right now, there's no panic, just cautious optimism. And if Wilkins does return fully healthy, the Raiders' defensive line could become one of the most disruptive units in the AFC. That's not just hype. That's based on what he's already proven he can do. Let's talk about something that's been quietly brewing around the Raiders. And it's got fans watching every move. Christian Wilkins and his recovery timeline. This isn't the first time we've heard mixed signals. One day he's in a walking boot, the next day he's out. It's been back and forth for weeks, and naturally, that's raised some serious questions about just how close he is to being 100%. But here's what makes this situation different and promising. If surgery was in the cards, it would have already happened. It's not the kind of decision you delay unless your medical team believes recovery is still on track. Think about it. The Raiders' doctors aren't going to gamble on the health of one of their most valuable defensive pieces. If there was any real doubt that Wilkins could be ready in the coming months, they'd have taken action by now. Instead, it looks like they're taking a calculated step-by-step approach. Wilkins is in the building, he's training, he's putting in the work, and when something flares up at a certain point in the recovery process, they ease back, not shut it down. That tells us one thing. The team believes in the plan. They're ramping him up carefully, not rushing, not risking anything. They're willing to give the foot time, let it rest, reevaluate, and try again. That's smart, that's patient, and most of all, that's a sign that the Raiders still expect Wilkins to be a full go before the real action kicks off. And if that happens, the entire defense changes overnight. The latest signs out of Raiders camp suggest something fans have been hoping for. Christian Wilkins is on track. 3 months before kickoff, and all indicators point to one thing. His foot is healing. He's out of the boot. He's moving around, and he's showing the kind of progress that gives this team confidence. Here's why that matters. NFL teams don't take players out of protective gear unless they're seeing the right signs behind the scenes. The medical staff clearly believes Wilkins is trending upward. No surgery, no regression. Just careful, controlled progression. Sure, he's missed some reps during minicamp, but he's been present, engaged, and watching closely from the sidelines. That's not the behavior of a player who's behind schedule. That's a team preparing to reintegrate a key weapon when the time is right. Let's not forget, this is one of the best defensive linemen in football. And when he was healthy for that 5-game stretch last season, he was a nightmare. Wilkins and Max Crosby were unblockable. Imagine that level of disruption over an entire season. Even better, medical experts are saying that this type of injury, a Jones fracture, rarely comes back once it heals. Titans running back Derrick Henry had the same issue. He bounced back. So why not Wilkins? If training camp rolls around and Wilkins is moving full speed, the Raiders' defense could be dangerous. With Pete Carroll lending his defensive mind and Patrick Graham still leading the unit, the structure is already there. Add a fully healthy Wilkins, you've got a front seven that can shake up the AFC. While most fans are still wondering who will lead this offense, one thing's becoming clearer. The Raiders are quietly building a vertical threat that could torch defenses in 2025. With Geno Smith now in the picture, yes, Geno Smith, don't be surprised if the Silver and Black turn into one of the NFL's most dangerous downfield teams. Smith has led the entire league in deep passing accuracy, 20-plus yard throws, since 2022, according to Pro Football Focus. That's not just impressive, it's elite. And when you pair that kind of arm talent with burners like Trey Tucker and Dante Thornton Jr., it's a recipe for fireworks. Now imagine this. Tucker streaking down the sideline, Thornton pulling defenders deep, and Geno dropping dimes 50 yards out. Add in a weapon like Brock Bowers, who's a monster in 50-50 situations, and you've got a multi-layered attack that could open up the field like we haven't seen in years. Forget the cautious check-down heavy playbooks of the past. This could be the most explosive Raiders offense since the Rich Gannon era. For years, quarterbacks in Vegas have played it safe. They'd scan the defense, read cover 3, and stick to the playbook like it was written in stone. One root concept for that coverage, one read, one outcome. It was predictable, it was safe, but it also left big plays on the table. Take Derek Carr, for example. He had the arm, but not always the mindset to gamble. Fans would scream when he checked it down on 3rd and long, but in his mind, he was following the rules. Blitz coming, dump it off to the running back. Nothing open, throw it away. That's how he was coached. But Geno Smith, he's cut from a different cloth. Smith doesn't freeze when the defense throws something tricky. He doesn't hesitate to take that one-on-one shot downfield, especially if he sees a mismatch. That mindset, paired with the Raiders' young speedsters and red zone weapons, could completely transform how this team attacks. It's no longer about playing not to lose. With Geno under center, it's about playing to win, even if that means trusting your guy to win a jump ball 40 yards downfield. This could be the boldest version of the Raiders' offense we've seen in years. And finally, it might be the kind of football that puts fear into opposing secondaries. What separates a good quarterback from a great one? It's not always reading the coverage, it's knowing when to trust your instincts. The best QBs in the league, guys like Joe Burrow and Josh Allen, don't just follow the playbook word for word. They take chances. They recognize when their guy has a step, and they let it fly. Geno Smith is showing signs of that same fearless mindset. And that's exactly what makes him so intriguing in this Raiders offense. We're already hearing whispers from OTAs. Michael Mayer is turning heads. He's not just winning routes, he's going up, using his body, and pulling down contested catches with his signature jump-back technique. It's no coincidence he's thriving now, that he has a quarterback who trusts his receivers and isn't afraid to take those 50-50 shots. And it's not just Mayer. Dante Thornton Jr. is blazing past defenders. Trey Tucker is finding space deep. And guess what? Geno's hitting them, in stride. These aren't just short yardage dump-offs. These are explosive plays with game-changing potential. If this trend continues, the Raiders might finally have what they've lacked for years. A vertical attack that actually puts pressure on opposing defenses. For once, it feels like this offense isn't just trying to stay on schedule. It's trying to take over games. Training camp will tell us more, but if early signs are any indication, the Silver and Black are gearing up for a serious offensive leap.